everyone? I think that you guys have to be energized, right? Because you already had your lunch. Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, there's a donor. Food is energy, so you guys should be energized. Anyways, I would like to know first who's coming from Middle East originally? Who's there in the conference and originally from Middle East? Which country?
Sudan.
Ah, Sudan. Great. So, I just would like to say that I'm coming all the way from Middle East, from Kurdistan region of Iraq, which is my nationality is a minority in Middle East compared to other nationalities. So this has made the struggle for my country and for my independent region that, especially in terms of research, that we are struggling, especially as young researchers. So getting back to my third year in pharmacy school, I was really wanted to someday be a global health leader and talking in an event, moderating, speaking, whatever, sharing my insights. But I knew that it should be something done within the scope of research. So I knew that I have to make myself or integrate myself into research. Okay, so I just reached out to some of my professors, and unfortunately they were not helpful, and even they discouraged me instead of encouraging me. And that's because in my country, research is degree-based. So it means when you have a PhD or higher, then you are eligible to be a researcher.
Give me trouble.
Before that, or let's say prior to this, you don't have this right, kinda. Especially in terms of a bachelor holder, let's say, undergraduate student asking for, oh, I want to be a researcher. And no one just caring about it. And even they are just laughing because it was not something possible. But today, I've heard and I'm presenting the second panel discussion as a moderator. So I would like to introduce you to our second panel discussion, which is about harnessing the vision and energy of young people for leadership and also innovation in global health. So we know that based on, according to WHO's recent report, health statistics in May 2025, it has been stated that there's still so many global health issues ongoing, from chronic health diseases to mental health problems, and then it is an indication that still 14 million children are not vaccinated during their birth. Or 85% of people, especially in low middle income countries and in the same area, will be affected by mental health problems. So this is showing the importance and the crucial part of a call to action for young leaders to join the global health and making sure they will be innovative and making a leadership good. So, for that purpose, in this panel discussion, we are going to talking about how to empower and encourage young people to be a part of the global health issues by solving them. How? By finding new solutions for all problems. So I'll be lovely to just be joined by the distinguished panelists. So the first one is Dr. Adriana Viola from Indonesia. So she's a medical doctor and also a global health researcher focused on tuberculosis and stunting. She leads program on global health focus and the 1,000 Days Fund, empowering communities and improving health system in Indonesia. Please round of applause for Dr. Adriana to come to the stage. And our second panelist is Dr. Salsa from Rwanda. She's a physician and medtech entrepreneur developing scalable, life-saving innovations for maternal health in Africa. She's the CEO of Ino Heza Ltd and a 2024 East Africa Biodesign fellow by Stanford UGHE. Please round of applause for enjoying. Okay, so before just starting the way that to kick off our discussion, it's really important to know first what's global health leadership. After understanding this, we can figure out how young people, especially young people, can be a part of it. So my first question goes to Dr. Salsa by asking this question. What do you think about global health leadership? What's global health leadership and how young people can contribute to?
Thank you for having me. Okay, so thank you for the introduction and thank you for having me again. So what I think about global health leadership is basically when you say leadership, maybe I can put it in two ways. So generically there's leadership and there's the other entity, global health. So when we say leadership, right, it's taking the route of being proactiveness instead of being reactive. So we may face some problems out there, and usually it's a human instincts to kind of react to them, but then to control our urges, to take a step back and be proactive. That means think about it, have that gap in between and say, okay, what else is there than the reaction that we're facing, like we're urging to take out, and then that would be the leadership that we'd be taking. So it starts from yourselves actually. And the other thing about the global health is, so health is a very complex problem. So it's not something like, for example, this mic, right? This mic, it's created because in a room like this, everybody should hear, so something that magnifies the voice, right? It's pretty straightforward. But when it comes to health, it's a little bit complex. Actually, it's a lot complex. So there's always something else. And then the way you go around the global health is like, what else is there? My background is medical doctor. So when I learned medicine, I only know my books and my patients, probably. But there's so many things that are moving in the same arena, like the government, the policy. What does the politics think about this? Who is funding what? What is the economics behind it? You see, there's always something going on, something else going on. So what would be the combination of both would be, global health and leadership would be, having that complexity, touching a patient or whoever you're trying to help, mapping all those stakeholders that touch them, and then taking the proactive approach to approach and solve all of the problems. So yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you so much for answering. Exactly. So the way that they just mentioned, in medicine and the other fields of health, we are just interacting with human beings. So it means that they are alive, so they are just feeling pain. So we need to just having the value how to interact with them. And also global health also belongs to the in terms of leadership as well, even though within the research, because our scoping of research papers should be just belonging to this, to keeping for example, our patient is right, and making them that we are just interacting with them and communicating with them ethically. So that's the point. So if I'm just adding this question for you, Dr. Salsa, how young people can be a part of this initiative, of this journey in global health leadership?
What makes young people special, in my opinion, is that there is that agility in us, because we're young. And there's a lot of learning from our side that needs to be done. There's also a lot of unlearning we have to do, the same token. And then this boldness we have, at the same time, the flexibility we have is a privilege that maybe after a certain amount of time in your life, you may not get to entertain these things that we're entertaining right now, whichever it is. So using that to your advantage would be like the key thing as a youth. Yeah.
It's really nice. So that's why I just asked this question: how to young people can be contributed? Because in the previous panel discussion, delivered by my colleague Jericho and the other panelists, So they were just talking about the importance of global health equity, etc. So now we have to know how young people can be integrated too. So I'm just going to this question to Dr. Adriana. So how youth can employ the method for leadership as a strategy tool to address global health challenges and struggles that they may face?
Thank you for the question, and thank you for very insightful answer, Doctor. So yes, I think when it comes to global health leadership, it's very interesting because young people, like I'm sure when you think about global health leadership, what comes first to your mind is like the WHO. Am I right?
Yeah.
Right? So the WHO, the UN, so like the big names. But actually, global health leadership is more than that. So it first starts within ourselves, like what was mentioned. What's important is for us to first be proactive instead of being reactive. So, global health leadership is essentially what's have been mentioned a lot of times by our panelists and also amazing presenters actually who are from the University of Global Health Equity, that it's very important that we empower not only ourselves, but the ones that are actually the beneficiaries of our solutions. And I would just like to highlight that it's very much related to research because global health leadership and policy making should ideally be evidence-based. So I think my friend here at ABC mentioned a lot about the importance of empowering the voices of marginalized communities. And we can achieve that through research. So if you are young people, don't really start thinking of doing global health leadership by going to the UN, going to WHO. Of course, that's the big goal. Maybe you can do that, like what was mentioned by Prof. Roy, in a few years from now. But when we are just starting, what we can do is we can go within ourselves and look within our communities and see what their problems are. And when we see what their problems are, that's when we can start becoming the advocate for everyone, or advocate for the young people. So I work at a nonprofit in Indonesia. I'm the Director of Program and Monitoring Evaluation and Research. That's a long title, but so far we have worked with our own Ministry of Health. We've also worked with international funders. And what I've seen is that time and time again, the innovations that work, the leadership that works, is when we are able to gather evidence from the ground, and then we tell the policymakers, hey, this is what works, so we better work like this. Of course, at the end of the day, it doesn't always mean that policymakers will follow us, but that at least that will get us a seat at the table. I just would like to add that the problem with many high-level meetings is that I'm often the youngest in the room, and I'm sure that maybe some of you will have also been on meetings like that. You are often the youngest in the room. And so I think one other important thing is for young people to believe in themselves, because like what was mentioned, you mentioned it, that young people, we have a lot of potential, we are special. But once we realize that we are special, I think it's also important for us to understand that we are different, At the same time, young people, when we are at high-level meetings, we're often grouped into one single group, that is young people, as if, the young people, which consists most of the people in the globe, are, we have similar needs. We, of course, have different needs, right? So by having a seat at the table, we will be able to advocate for our own needs as well as the diversity of needs of young people. So yeah, just do it and believe in yourself more.
Thank you so much. Exactly, believing in yourself, the trust in your ability is something that making or beating the obstacles efficiently. So in that case, she mentioned a good example of her experience, that mentioning that he's working in an international organization. So mean that she gave it an example for the global health leadership. So you can just take benefit and also having it. And the other thing that's really important to take into consideration, remember, every journey is just enclosed and also designed with obstacles, not flowers. So don't think pinkish, because life is not pinkish. So the way that you're believing it is just the way that the path that you have, it just full of obstacles. So it's your perspective, how you are seeing these obstacles. As she mentioned, and you can just like seeing these obstacles as a lesson, as an opportunity, instead of a struggle or an obstacle itself. So thank you so much. So if we are just going to like another question, and I'm just mentioning that how we can transform local leadership into a global leadership. Because at the end of the day, we are just starting from locals, from probably our cities. So we just started locally. So how we can just transforming this into a global level and making it having an impact in global health leadership? Dr. Salsawit. Yeah.
Thank you again. So these sort of investments in young people equates, investing in the future. That's why, because technically we live longer than the ones that are up there with the money and the investment. So for your question, I've already mentioned it starts from within, but then from local to global, to get from local to global, you have to root the leadership to some sort of purpose. So that is bold underline italics on that, because if you have like a purpose that you are rooting your leadership to, then basically, for example, in our company, I'm a CEO of a company here. We're developing a medical product here for PPH treatment. So we have this attitude in the company that says the project is already done. It could sound a little delulu, but the project is already done, it's finished. So what we're assuming is like our soul already done the project. So what we're doing here is physically interpreting it. So now, obviously we have to raise funds. Now when we get to the technical side, now we have to get funds, we have to talk to the government, we have to talk to policymakers, stakeholders, professional associations, a lot of stakeholders, the patients, the doctors, everyone. So everyone will tell you different things, and sometimes maybe it's the regulatory body, like the FDA will say no, or the manufacturer will say no, and we won't give up because it's done already. So we see like, okay, this way doesn't work. Maybe we can switch this way and get to the destination because we're already there. So if you root your leadership to purpose, nothing will stop you unless you do. So that's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why let's secure that available. I'm just saying that when the things are not working, change the plan, not the goal. So here is the same. You need to change the plan, change the path that you want to, achieving the thing that you want, but the goal should not be changing. So also she mentioned the purpose. Exactly, the purpose is the goal. So if you know how to do it, it's really amazing. If not, so you have to just find another way. However, I just want to, at this point, but I'm just making it as a question for one of the panelists later, that these paths demand these skills, demand this experience. So later we are just a bit talking about that, and they are sharing their advices with us. Thank you so much. Okay, so if we are just going to another question, Dr. Adriana, and we are seeing that, how can we deploy and identify innovations in global health solutions? So at the end of the day, probably we have a lot of solutions, right? We just offering so much of things. We have a lot of ideas, but which one of them can be innovative and can be actually working? So how we can just recognize this?
That's very interesting, and I think this goes very well with the theme of the conference. That is, there's a lot of connection between research, leadership, and innovation. And I think based on my experience, to see and to know what innovation can work locally but also globally is that by looking into the research and the evidence. So like I mentioned, it's very important for innovations to be evidence-based. There are a lot of, for example, you may think that an innovation might be useful to you, but it may not be useful to everyone else in your community. So at first, it is very important, firstly, try that innovation within your own community or within the community of interest that your innovation is expected to be impactful for, and then see whether there will be changes. And of course, for that you need some information or at least some some knowledge and skills about research. You don't need to be a very amazing statistician. For example, what I found that, because I'm also the regional director for Asia at Global Health Focus, what I found that is that it's impossible for us to be, to be good at everything because we're just one person, right? So what's important is also to start with collaborating with each other. So what I've seen in my work at both Global Health Focus and 1000 Days Fund is that when we collaborate, we are able, and I'm able to look for different types of innovations at a faster speed. Because, my peers from not only 1000 Days Fund, but also other NGOs, they can keep on telling me and providing me with the newest evidence and newest papers, for example, that they think would benefit my work, which is in the field of malnutrition, and then we can have a beautiful discussion about whether it might work or not. But of course, at the end of the day, we still need to test it out. So yeah, that's why there are a lot of hard skills that you need to be able to do as well. So that involves, critical appraisal of scientific papers, and also, and also some soft skills like collaboration. But at the same time, I think you will be able to talk more about it because you're working in the startup sector. But at the end of the day, you also need to be very understanding about the landscape of regulators, like you mentioned. So at my nonprofit, we work a lot with policymakers. Sometimes innovations that work on paper may not really work like in the actual world, not because it doesn't work, but because of resistance from policymakers. So it's very important to also have that strength of collaborating and just advocating to policymakers to see that to find a common ground basically on which innovations would they want to work. One last thing for me, based on my experience, is that innovations should be sustainable, and we can actually find out about whether an innovation can be sustainable at quite an early stage of deploying your innovation, and that is through stakeholder engagement and stakeholder identification, like I mentioned. So for example, in my nonprofit, we focus on empowering governments to ensure that they can pay for the program later on, because as nonprofits, we cannot be at a place forever. We need to make sure that they become independent and they have their own agency instead of relying on our work all the time. So, when we test innovations, what we see is always also the agency of the people to want to own the program. And I've seen this also at GHF because we deploy a lot of research training. We've seen that, maybe Jericho you know more, but in universities that are very committed, they produce more research outputs, they become better researchers because they have the agency to do it. So, it's very important to see whether it can be sustainable later on.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that you already covered the answer for this question that I mentioned regarding the skill that is needed, especially in terms of collaboration. This is something that's actually working very well and can bring you to a top level one if you just know how to efficiently work. We may just have a little more discussion on that later. Okay, so I just want to get back to Dr. Sosa and asking this question. So we know that in today's era, technology is just integrated to almost every field. So also health including. So what do you think regarding the innovative technological solution that's actually needed for now, or any innovative digital solution that's very necessary for a critical issue, especially in global health?
Yeah, that's more on the proactive side. So how we get to work on this problem we picked running as a business right now is very technical. So we went actually to hospitals in Kenya and Rwanda, visited, took our notebooks, listed down everything we saw was wrong or felt wrong, or it shouldn't, or we interviewed the people, and then they told us, okay, this is a problem. So we took that down, wrote it down literally, and then translated them into problems, needs, okay, we sat down together and then what are the problem here? What is the problem here? From your notes to an actual problem. And then who is it affecting? What are the population affected? And then had we solved this problem, what would be the outcome? So we kind of constructed a statement like that, and then around 500 something needs came up. So we filtered those needs based on, you know, the type of solution, or like basing on these criteria, filters that we've created, which is, for example, which problem can we really solve as 3 of us or 4 of us with the skills we have, right? Or with the network we can access. And then which problem has funding focus, because we definitely need money to do this. And then which problem does the government care about, so that we can, you know, align our agenda with the government. Which NGO, so based on this filter process, we came up with top 20, top 10, top 6, top 3, and top 1 problem, which is now, we tapped into the biggest problem in sub-Saharan Africa that's killing, if any mother is dying, 80% of the mothers that are dying is because of this issue. There is a global focus to it. There's a global, you know, government public focus towards it. There's funding focus to it, and we've already raised some, we've gotten some commitments from Gates Foundation, some high-end global health, like global health, high net worth individuals that supports our project. So it was very technical, and it's not reactive. You see, all the 500 problems, if you ask me, yes, they really touched my heart, and I wanted to solve them. But I have like a few years to live in this life, and I don't know everything. I can't solve everything. So the way we pick up the problems is very technical. It's not very passion-based or emotional or intuition only. It's very technical as well. And then before you even entertain technology, there is another step before it. Like, because usually as young people also, I'm a victim of this. When you see a problem, you automatically think of a solution, and you be like, I like this problem. Yeah. It's because we have a solution deep down, but now we have to control ourselves, willpower, to say we don't know anything. And the problem could pivot at any point, so you let it go, which is a hard exercise to do, especially if you have an engineering background, because you would want to fix things by default. That's your basic training. So that's how, like, before we got to the solution, we came up with criteria in which how the solution should be, whatever solution we came up with. Although, because as young people, we're exposed to a lot of technology, we have a lot of skills that we can connect. But that doesn't mean our problem needs all of that. It just needs a very customized this and that solution. So we have, whatever the solution comes from is how well do we know the problem. So it's like a chain reaction from that. So we created a criteria for our needs. This is a need-driven innovation, not like a technology push. You know, we don't create the technology first and then take it to the people. They're like, wow, they're not using my app. It doesn't work like that. You have to know, do they need the app? Do they even have an app? How many people access an app or internet or a smartphone in our communities in this emerging market? So yeah, that will humble you back, and then create this criteria for like creating the solution. A criteria for creating the solution. That means whatever solution you brainstorm should fulfill these criteria. It should work effective. It should be usable. Somebody needs to use it. It should be at an appropriate price because you want to sell it at some point, or somebody or an NGO can buy it for you. And then it could be accessible. So there needs to be some sort of a way in which the people can access it, and it should be safe. And that's global health and equity. No suboptimal product should be deployed because it's just, oh, Africa or like third world country. No, that's not global health. It's like as safe as effective as any technology out there. So this is the processes we use.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's exactly like that. So when you see this like in a problem, so you have like having more prioritizing for a problem, like a problem prioritizing over another one. So that's the point. And another thing that's for solutions, and even I'm just getting back to my previous question that I asked, how to know where like an innovative solution is recognizing. So you have to have a checklist for that. So you make sure that this is actually working based on this checklist, or I mean, having even a rubric probably is also working the way. So let me just ask another question just to you. You are talking about technology and it's something that we said that's very common and it's really integrated to like almost all fields, especially health. So we have a lot of young people here. So what necessary technological skill that they need to be a global health leader?
For me, more than the skills, you need people. Because, okay, it took me 7 years, 7 years to learn medicine, and then after that, I don't have any appetite. I dropped out of an MBA school, like I can't learn anymore. But what helped me through is knowing people. What I'm trying to build is something big, and it's big enough to include, like, to need people. So I always say, if you can do it alone, whatever project or whatever solution you've got going on, if you can do it alone, it's not big enough. If it's only needing you, it's not big enough. So try to meet as much as people. This type of networking opportunities are important. Use your LinkedIns, try to meet experts, and any expert till date I've asked to help me did. Nobody refused, like nobody said like I won't help you or you have to pay me before you talk. No, everybody was volunteering to help me, and when you're young, that also helps. But you need to approach it from a teachable attitude, right? You don't have to go and say like, I know this, but just tell me this. No, just listen, everything. Yeah. Now with an attitude, have a learnable, teachable attitude, then you will gain more. People will cooperate with you. And when you're stuck doing your stuff, you won't be like, oh damn, I don't know how to do accounting and finance, or I don't know how to do like corporate lawyer stuff. Like, it won't be like, oh, I can't do this or not. It would be like, who do I know? And then you just go. That's it. So know as much as people you can, like in the expertise that or in the field that you want to progress in, and then that's how you get networking is the key.
So it's only like that, or like also other technological skills also needed?
I mean, in this generation,
Yeah, just basically,
in this generation, data is a big deal. And then, you know, if you follow the news, that's what's going on. AI, even like an AI could give you a big idea. Like even if you don't have to do a full course these days. Just put the title on AI and it can break it down for you in a language you understand, and you could take it from there. So if you have like that purpose, which comes from within to begin with, if you know what you want to do, just get it done, make it happen. And there's ways. There are like AI now, there's the internet. This is an easy time even. So you don't have to go to the library, turn the pages, just chat GPT.
Just a common one. It's a models. Okay, thank you so much. She also mentioned that even if I'm just getting back again a little bit, so you just like she just mentioned that analyzing is also very important in terms of having a problem, then giving it prioritizing, so it means that you're analyzing it. So it also belongs to the data analyzing. So I think that's also another skill that can be very helpful for young leaders to just be cultivating themselves and to be a global health leader as well. And also regarding the ChatGPT, I think that we don't have anyone here that doesn't or don't download ChatGPT in his or her phone, right? Do we have any? Oh, no. So it means that we are all using like the most common one, the ChatGPT. But you guys are now how to use it. How many of you are knowing how to use ChatGPT for the purposes that they want? No one? Oh great, I just see two. So the rest, all the others are not knowing how to use it, then why do you just guys download it and like eating data in your mobile phone? So use something else instead. Okay, so we have another thing that's called prompt engineering. So it's really important how to just giving the data, how you are prompting your idea to the AI and ChatGPTs to make sure they're giving you a timely and also accurate answer. Probably in another place or in another session we are talking about it because it's a long one. Anyways, so thank you so much, Doctor, as well. So I'm just about to get back to Dr. Adriana. I'm just asking this. I want to make this more practical than we did before. So you talked about that what's the importance of collaboration and how does it work. But can we tell us how we as young leaders can foster collaboration, the practical ones?
I think to start a collaboration, right, what you need to do is to just engage with people. I think it was also mentioned that networking is one of the key skills that you need to learn, and one of the reasons why is because it really helps kickstart multiple collaborations. And sometimes it happens at very random moments. So for example, I'm a mentee of Prof. Don. I've been a mentee of him since 2020, and it started very funnily, I would say, because it started with a cold message to him on Facebook. And it was just like, very, very weird message, if I have to be honest. It's like, hi Prof, I don't know anything about global health, but I want to learn from you. And I think you're great. So would you mind being a mentor to me? And then he replied, So sometimes things can really start by just cold messaging people. I would also like to mention that there are a lot of networks, just like Global Health Focus, that can really empower you and let you know people so that you can start multiple types of collaborations. So for example, one of my papers that was produced with Prof. Don at GHF led me to my first job even before I graduated, and it's because my former boss, because that was my first job, so my former boss found my paper on PubMed. It's basically like, a medical research database. So she found my name and she thought my name seemed familiar, and that kickstarted a collaboration because she wanted to learn more about my paper. And then of course, when you do things like that, when someone asks you to meet them, do some research about their work as well. So that's what I did. I did some research about her work, and then turns out she is very interested in tuberculosis, and she has a lot of work in tuberculosis research. So I told her I don't have any experience in tuberculosis. So I was repeating my message to Prof. Dunn, basically, like, I don't have anything yet about this, but I'm so interested in learning from you. Would you like to be my mentor? And then she said yes, and she asked me to be a part of her team. And when you start that process over and over again, sometimes the world, I feel it myself, the world becomes so much smaller. So it turns out after a while, I found out that one of our, also an Asian leader at GHF, so he's Dr. Thin Lee from Bhutan. So it turns out he met my boss at a conference in India. And because of that, we were talking a lot about how we can collaborate more between my university where I work and GHF. So the world becomes smaller and smaller, and there are a lot of young networks that youth networks that you can join. I'm also part of, maybe some of you know, it's called Global Shapers. So that's also a good network for you to be in, solely because, just like GHF, there are a lot of chapters, and sometimes you can just, you can pop up in a city and then just hang out and start chatting with someone that are also a part of that network. That's what I've been doing with GHF as well. So, it really starts first with the bravery, I would say, the courage to just start, and to be humble enough to mention that you don't know a lot, but that you're willing to learn. I'm hopeful that it's practical enough, but yeah.
Thank you so much. It was actually like this work, I think that's working well. And also, by the way, I didn't see anyone that's taking note into these skills. Why? When you are doing here, please take notes, because both sharing practical steps with you, so you need to just take into consideration to figure out your path to be a future global health leaders. So yes, I just don't want to take in too much more time, and I want to go to the audience's questions if there is any. So please join us, dear audiences. So, okay, nice one. Yes, go ahead.
So hello everyone, my name is... Hello everyone, and thank you very much for your great hands. And I can see here women who are not in this, especially if you are talking to policymakers, are they taking us seriously or they just think we are? So, so this is my, I think, because this is what I faced when I go into policy leaders and talking about any issues, they will like be this kind of hesitation. So what kind of what also you will be like saying to your younger self when you start this journey? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's very much a real problem everywhere, I think. Sorry, in the world, and especially I think what's the problem is that we're young and we're women, so that's like multiple types of barriers, right? Yeah, I personally experienced, I think many women, unfortunately. So for the young women, for the young men out here, please don't do that when you're older, because we, you know, when I'm sure when you talk to a lot of women here, you will realize that we also have similar strength like you. We are also smart. We are also agile. You know, all the good things that have been told by panelists time and time again about being the power of young people. So yeah, I think for me, when I just started my journey, and I think I'm still starting my journey because I'm still quite young. I think what has been very helpful for me is both peer support and also mentorship. So that's why I think GHF has been very influential for me, because at times when I doubt myself, there's Dawn, there's Zhinya, who can always tell me that, you know, I'm doing fine. And even if we're not doing fine, I think we're always telling each other that is a part of learning. I just had a discussion with Zhinya before that making mistakes is actually a good thing, because that means we are moving forward, we are learning something new, so that's very important. But of course, you know, policymakers, sometimes they do not care about that. That's the unfortunate reality. They think that we need to be perfect, which is, well, no one is perfect here. So I think what has been really helpful for me when we're working with government officials is just to seem as confident as possible. And one key point for me that has been helping with my confidence is that I do a lot of personal branding. So that's how people can really know me before they meet me in person. So thanks to my work at GHF, I was awarded the Dino Award, and that has been very helpful in establishing my credentials and credibility in front of people. So, you know, just start building your personal branding. When you do your things, when you do your impactful work, I believe, just start posting it on maybe LinkedIn or any other social media that the policymakers and also stakeholders in your area are using a lot. For me in Indonesia, it's LinkedIn, but maybe it's another platform here. Yeah, so just be confident, take as many support as you need, and just do it, you know, because along with time, we will always be better at things we care about.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Adriana. It's actually, if I'm just adding one point more. So, making mistakes, being rejection, is something very normal. So sometimes you have to put your ego aside and just let yourself to grow. So it's sometimes needed, so just make sure that being rejection is not known to you personally, as a person. So probably it's this person that telling you no, they don't even know you in person. So they just say no because they don't have time probably, or they're just overloading you with other things. So it's not no for you personally. So just take into consideration of that and put sometimes aside of your ego to just grow more. Any other question? I want to add, sorry. Yes, please.
If it's helpful. Yeah. I mean, I just want to point out the differences when it comes to this space, male, female, right? At the end of the day, originally we're all human, right? So, but when it comes to females, right, it's a little bit tougher, as mentioned, because our nature is very, attractive. I mean, literally too, right? But we tend to absorb energy, right? Like, so we tend to absorb the room or like whatever that's been said, and we take it really personally when we have to keep it in the conversation. But sometimes we kind of misinterpret and say, oh, they're talking about me, or this is about me. So what I recommend is know yourself. Self-awareness is key. Know yourself, then confidence is inevitable, right? And protect who you are with all you can. Don't be rude as you do that, but accept and respect the nature that we're in. And we do contribute in the society in terms of global health and any field we're in. That's already validated with the many women that came before us. Thanks to them that we're getting a seat here too. So yeah, like have that self-awareness. And if you need, and if you still struggle, please go for also advisory and mentorship and even therapy. Because most of our insecurities, whatever, will reflect in the workplace too. And you don't want to mix that. Nothing is personal. And the guys are nodding heads because they get to see it. Yeah, because the men's, your nature, they're more of objective, and they're more of like in a thinking than in a intuition and feeling mode than us. So they agree with me because they're like, yeah, because they see it, but they don't know how to tell us because we will feel something about it, and that's gonna blow up on their face. So try to collaborate. There is no balance, but try to collaborate that. Know yourself and show up for yourself there too. And you won't be rude because really who you are, it's not rude. You're actually very loving and attractive. So embrace that.
Okay. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Thank you so much. My name is Remy Micho. I'm a university doing my final year at Rwanda. I also represent the Association of Medical Science students. So it's a very, very good to be here, and I've learned a lot from what I like. Someone talked about how institutional medicine, it was very great. And I also learned something of encouraging and inspiration as well as very touching, also personally. So I want to ask a question in terms of global health. I need to ask, how do you see entrepreneurship? Young leaders, how we involve in entrepreneurship to take a part in solving this disparity of a global health equity and governance and south. And if you think that's possible to do so, what advice can you give to someone who's young like me who believes at some point can get entrepreneurship to contribute this disparity and move of this global health equity?
I'm glad you asked that. So just what I would tell you is, you would start with like the vision, right? The purpose you have. There's something that you want, but that doesn't mean the other people don't exist. Like they also are there in the same shoes as you. They also want something. So how business works, and that's the most sustainable way. Because as she mentioned, like even NGOs, they can't be there forever. So the only financial sustainability is through business and entrepreneurship. And I'm glad that you're considering that. So always think win-win. So when you go for something you are negotiating for, right? Also prepare what they would want to hear from you, and also what's in it for them. This goes for every relationship, and that's where the ego also diffuses, because ego means you're trying to make yourself feel better, like, oh, I'm graduating from this and that, and then making the other person feel bad. And if it's a girl, she'll probably take it deep. So you have to be fair and think win-win, like what's in it for them, what's in it for me, how can we grow together, and you collaborate. And that attitude will get you far. So as a young person, you may not know a lot of stuff, but when you go for asking them to teach you, sometimes that person is busy, but you need to kind of integrate yourself in a way that they could help you. So you be smart about that. So that win-win attitude always will get you to next places, as an entrepreneur. Yeah.
Exactly. It's about win-win. It's together win-win. Because it's not about one side just winning. Either you are a mentee or a mentor. So it's about winning together. So any other question? Oh, please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon everyone. I'm Paul Samuel Amok. I'm a pharmacy student at the University of Rwanda. And I would like to first say that thank you so much for your insightful panel discussion. It is really so transformative and hearing it from you and inspiring to us young people. So you talk about using AI to come with solutions to solve global health challenges. As young people, we are all passionate about solving the problems in our community. And sometimes we may end up using the AI, and AI will just give us solutions with big ideas we cannot easily achieve. So my question is, in a world where digital health and AI are advancing rapidly, how can young leaders in global health ensure that their solutions are ethical, equitable, and community-centered? Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was a very interesting question because I think AI is taking the world by storm, right? Every news is now about AI, and it was not like that just a year ago. So yeah, the world is changing very fast. But yeah, what's interesting about AI? So I was just at a conference in China a few weeks ago. They were talking about AI and entrepreneurship, actually, so very much related to the theme of our panel. There are some considerations and concerns about AI that I think we all know about. Like, for example, there are some unethical use of AI that can be, when you're a graphic designer and then your photographs are being used, like your designs are being used to inform the AI, that forms a gray area where it seems like it's not really ethical to use that for design. There are also concerns about how AI can, lead to us having brain rot. Have you ever heard about this one? So there are a lot of people who say that brain is also muscle. So with us telling AI to do all the things that we need, that may lead to us not being able to think later on about what we need. And but at the same time, there was also a few people who told me that AI actually has a lot of potential, because at the end of the day, AI and other types of digital technology is just a tool. So it really depends on how we use it. So for example, just a few years ago, I think in the 1900s, computers weren't there. So if you know, computers actually mean someone who compute. So it was a real person doing computing things. But now computer means laptops, whatever that you're using. And people, when computers were first invented, were so worried that it will lead to jobs being missing and maybe a lot of unethical problems as well. But turns out what happens is that it's just changed the world, and it helps us think about how our work can become more effective. So I think, although this doesn't really relate to global health challenges, the key takeaway I got is that, once again, AI is a tool, so it really depends on how we use it. And I think in order to make solutions in the current era, so with all the digital solutions and AI being out there, in order to make these solutions still be as ethical and equitable as possible, it's important for us to just look at the evidence once again and look within your own communities and use your critical thinking and systems thinking. I think you mentioned about how engineers are used and wired to solve problems. I read this book called Thinking in Systems. It's a very good book, so maybe you can read it. I think in the field, in the current era, it's very important that we also equip ourselves with more systems thinking, more system-wide approaches. So even when there's AI and digital tools that can seem like an easy solution, we can really think systems-wide to see whether it's really a tool that is equitable and usable for everyone. Because if we're going to use AI, for example, in areas in Indonesia where there is no access to digital technology, then no one will use it. I think you mentioned it as well. So it's very important to just go back again to your communities and see whether these tools are the correct one at this point of time for your communities, because it can be not the current one for now, but it can be one later on. Let me give you one example from my own work. So I work in training community health workers. So in Indonesia, they're not doctors, they're not nurses, they're like moms and grandmas of villages. So they are not really trained to do anything related to healthcare, but then they are expected to deliver healthcare well. So I'm actually wondering how they are expected to do it when they are not trained at all. We first, at my NGO, we started with training community health workers by directly going to the field, but it proves to be so challenging because, in Indonesia, we are made of a lot of islands, and it's so hard to access everywhere. So then we come up with a solution. We now have digital training tools. So we started with, Coursera-like courses, and turns out no one was using it because no one even has Gmail account. Because, they don't even know how to use and how to register their emails. And it's still happening until now. So we decided to change our tool to become more accessible, and that is we just uploaded our courses as YouTube videos. Because although they don't have Gmails, they have YouTube. Just going back to your questions, what's important is to always test and iterate your solutions based on the needs of the communities. Because, by going out there and really seeing what they need, you will be able to maximize your impact even without the tools that may seem very much up to date right now.
Thank you so much.
Maybe to just summarize, for me personally, the AI stuff is, we are being, AI is no longer in the future, it's here. But we're being delayed because accessibility is still an issue for us, unfortunately, in emerging markets. So think about that. For entrepreneurs, if you want to tap into that, do something that the AI would need, which is data. So anything around data would be a lucrative business soon, hopefully. So that would make you think about 3-4 steps ahead, and then do something that you would exit from a few years. And about the equitability, that's the thing. Access is a huge deal for us still. And the ethicalness is still, AI is something very revolutionary, and in terms of regulation, there's still a lot to be done globally. So keep in check. Keep yourselves updated there as much as possible. There's a lot going on every day, but try to educate yourself with that. When you're innovating around AI, I would warn you about the accessibility and being smart about how you go about that.
Insightful perspectives from both of you. It's actually, so at the end of the day, AI is here not to lose our jobs. It just actually those that are losing their jobs, that they don't know how to use AI. So it's better to just familiarize yourself how to use AI ethically and how to use it in your field. So that's the point. Otherwise, it's not fair to lose our jobs. Make sure about that. So I will just take last questions. Okay, yes, go ahead.
Hello everyone. Thank you so much. My name is Eve Lachiza. I'm here as a representative of nurses, individual student from the University of Rwanda. So I would like to ask a question. According to two countries of underserved population of rural, they have unmotivated youth to innovate. So my question is this: how can we ensure that youth from low-income countries and marginalized background are equally empowered and resourced to innovate in global health? Thank you so much.
The answer is you. Just in short. So we are responsible. We have to go there. And as leaders, then we have to go there and teach them, because the whole thing is about exposure, right? Why we think we're better, or why we're here, is because we have exposure, either through education or through the resources we have, or even TV. Those things matter. So we are responsible if your initiatives or whatever project you're involved in is in, concerning rural population, actually go there. You can't do that from your office in the city. You have to actually go there, talk to them, and see where they are really. And then start from there. Because most of the projects, I've seen multiple projects fail because most people would just sit in the office and assume the problem instead of going there actually asking and interacting with people there. So how do we motivate unmotivated youth in the rural area? We go there. If you're motivated, then you go there and you help them get motivation. So it's on us, we have to go. Yeah.
I think I'll just add a bit because you already summarized what I want to say. I think it's important to also showcase to young people that there are indeed a lot of funding opportunities and other just, capacity building opportunities that can help you and your innovations go forward. So there are really a lot of opportunities focusing on the young people. For example, I think the UN, they have some grants for young people, youth people focused innovation. So, sometimes why people don't get motivation is because they don't really know if there is an opportunity for them to go forward, to keep moving forward, because they don't know where to get resources. So by knowing that there are resources that support you, I think that will really help a lot. And I think if you're interested, you can go to me after this panel, and I can share with you all the resources that I have and I know regarding funding opportunities and capacity building programs.
Nice. Thank you so much for your perspectives as well, and for both. Exactly, it's like that. And so, as we're approaching the end of the session, I want to just take a moment for thanking our distinguished panelists for joining us in this session and also for sharing their invaluable insights. So, eventually, someone will be the leader. Then why not you? So, it's actually based on you, on how you are thinking and what's your perspective and how you see things. Again, we are saying that the past is not designing with raw flowers or bunch of flowers there. No, it's not like that. It's only in probably cartoons that just something like that happened. Otherwise, it's just different in real life. So, for anyone in the audience, you're a global leader, you're already a global leader and professional, or you want to start to be a global leader soon, I hope this discussion just inspired you to take action, to foster collaboration, and to pushing forward, to be innovative, especially in global health. So thank you so much, and thank you so much once again. Thank you.